Welcome back, guys, and in this video of our series JavaScript nuts and bolts, I'll be showing you how to use expression as your default parameters. So in the previous videos, I've produced default parameters and I've also shown you how to use the undefined while using default parameters. But in this video specifically, I'll be showing you how to use expression as your default parameters. So without further ado, let us dive in and see this in action. So let me just create a function here. Very first, call this function file tags like that. And then just create this first like so. Then for now, this function, I'm not going to add many parameters. I'm just going to pass two parameters. And the first parameter will be papers. That is the type of papers that I want to file the tax for. And the second here parameter will be date of filing, like this. And now this will be an expression and it will be current date, right? So this inbuilt function new date, or rather this class gets current date. And now using our values up there, we can just console log down here and just say console.log, and I'm going to console log papers, and then I'm going to concatenate a value. Let us say papers were filed on, and then I'm also going to concatenate the years. I'm going to say date of filing like so. And then now to get the year out of this date, you just use this function get full year, and then it will be done. As simple as that. I'm trying just to keep things simple, but to help you guys understand what I'm trying to do here. And so I think for now we are done. And let me just add a space here so that it can be more readable. So I'm going to call my function down here quite fast and just say file tags. And then the first value in this function, I'm going to say personal. That is the type of papers, personal tags. And then for the date, I'm going to pass a date here. And I'm going to say date like so. And then the way you declare date is that you start with the year, and that is 2018, for example, and then the month, which will be, let us say, on the 9th, and then also day, which is second. And then after that, I'm also going to call this function again. And on this second value, I'm not going to pass the date. So I've called this function with these two values. First one with the type of paper and the date, while the second one has only the type of papers. And in this function, we are simply getting the years from these values that we have passed here. So let us run this and see what it will give us. Here I get an error saying that, let me do this and just add new here. Let me try this again and see. Yeah, so I'd forgotten to add this new here. Actually, let me just add a space again here so that we can have just this well formatted. Let me just run this again. So this is quite fine. So as you can see now, for the first value here, we have gotten personal files were filed on 2018. And the second value, personal files were filed. This is, of course, for this first console log here, I'm passing a date with a value, or rather with the year of 2018. While on this second value, I'm just passing the personal, or rather the papers for this function. And what happens here is by default, if I fail to pass a date, then it will resolve to getting the current date. And out of that current date, it will get the current year. And that is why you're seeing here 2022, while on the first, which I've passed date, you're seeing 2018. So let us see another example so that you can be able to understand this better. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to modify this function and just say cells, let me just say amount, and then I'm going to say cells, let us say cells tax like so, and this cells tax is going to be equal to, let us say 15, and then we are going to have also the third parameter here, And this parameter, that parameter is going to be local tax. And for this local tax, I'm going to calculate this local tax from the sales tax and say local tax will equal to sales tax multiplied by, let us say, 0.2. This is just an example. And then down here, I'm just going to echo sales tax like so. And I'm going to say that sales tax like so equals to this guy, and then like so. Then here I'm also going to concatenate say here that local tax will be equal to our value that will be passed here. Of course, this will be local tax like so. So this is fine for now. And now I'm going to call our function 3 times instead of 2 times. And I'm just going to pass a variety of value. For the first call, I'm going to pass an amount of 20. And also I'm going to pass a value for the sales tax to be 10. And then for the local tax, I'm going to declare, let us say, 5. And then let me just copy this value. Let me just recycle this value. Then delete this guy so. And then I'm going to paste this guy here and then remove the local tax. And lastly, I'm going only to pass 20. So I want you to see what will happen here. Let me just run this now. So for the first value, we have sales tax is equals to 10. And then local tax is equals to 5. Let me just format this again. That, and then also add a space here and also run this guy again. So this looks quite good. So the sales tax is equals to 10. That is for the first value here, right? So for this first value, I've passed the amount, the sales tax, and also the local tax. That is why you're seeing all these values here, 10, 5. So the sales tax, of course, is 10 as I've passed here, and the local tax is 5 as I've passed here. Now for the second call, I've passed the value for the amount and the sales tax. And for the sales tax, which is 10, if you take 10 times 0.2, that will get 2, and that is the value you're seeing here. And for the third value, I've just passed the value for the amount, which means I haven't passed the value for the sales tax and the local tax. So it will use this default value that you're seeing here. So we'll have sales tax, which is 15, and for the local tax will be 15 times 0.2, which will be 3. And that is what you're seeing here. So I wanted to show you guys how to use expression while using default parameters. And this is how you can be able to play around with expression to use default parameters. And so guys, one thing I want to show you is that you should not use this third parameter here as your second parameter. And the reason being is that you'll be passing the second parameter. And so this third parameter is dependent upon this second parameter. And so if I use this third parameter upon the second parameter and I fail to initialize this second parameter, then it will throw an error. Let me just show you what I mean. So for now, if I say, for example, sales tax is equals to, let us say local tax times 0.2, like so, and then I pass local tax to be, let us say, 15 in here. And then now if I run this code, let me just run this. As you can see, our first value has gone well. That is because simply I've declared, or rather I've passed a value for the second parameter, which is the sales tax. But for this third value here, we are having an error. This is because this sales tax here is trying to use local tax, yeah? And while it tries to use this local tax, is unable to get this local tax and use it as the parameter here. So that is just one thing you should be careful. Even though I've initialized this value here, as you can see, cannot access local tax before initialization. Yeah. So you should always have this value that you are using as an expression following values that you have declared or rather initialized. Do not use this before initialization because it simply follows like the way programming works. So you need to initialize your values here before you use them in the third or the fourth parameter in your expression. Otherwise, you'll get this error that this value hasn't been initialized. So that is just one thing to take note while using expression on your function. And guys, that is what I wanted to show you guys on this video. And so if you like the video as usual, please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and also share. And until we meet again, guys, bye bye.